Forget about what the calendar says. Football season is right around the corner, and that means Best Ball Week at DraftKings isn't far behind. Here's what you need to know. DraftKings Best Ball Millionaire Contest is their biggest fantasy contest ever. We're talking 15 million guaranteed prize pool with that's right, two millionaires being crowned for first and second place.
If you're a set it and forget it type, then Best Ball is for you. No waiver wires, no roster management, bigger roster so injuries won't end your season. Only the draft, and that's it. You're set for the season. And $15 million in prize money is no joke. Still not convinced? Check this out. This year, DraftKings is offering everyone a Draft One, Get One special. Your $20 entry fee scores you a bonus ticket.
Get ready for Best Ball Week at DraftKings. Download the DraftKings app and use code Jenkins. That's code Jenkins, Jenkins, for all customers who enter the NFL Best Ball $15 million millionaire contest to get a bonus ticket. Only during Best Ball Week, only on DraftKings. Welcome to Jenkins and Jonez on the Volume Podcast Network. It is Monday, July 15th, and we are going to be talking about the 5th episode of House of Dragons Season 2. As always, Jenkins and Jonez, hosted by Dragonfly Jones, a.k.a. Tyler.
Everybody have a good.
LaJethero Jenkins not with us today on paternity leave.
From Daddy 2 times out this motherfucker.
Daddy 2 times. Thank you to everyone in the chat for sending John and Radha off to the hospital last week with good wishes. He'll be back. I think he's on tomorrow's show.
He said
right?
He was going to be on tomorrow's show.
Okay. So you may get to hear the whole story tomorrow, but yes, very happy to announce that baby boy Nichols came bouncing healthily into the world, and we're all over the moon. I was crying like a little baby, and that's
it's the real emotion of the last few days. LaJethero Jenkins Jr. has arrived, man.
Yes. Yeah, we had a very emotional birth, and then we had a very emotional almost death as well, but that didn't happen. So it's been a busy day, been a busy week. All right. I'm Guardy B, aka Mike. I'm gonna be just like, that's just me being honest, because I feel like I could have snuck it. I could have used the cover of John's adorable baby boy.
I was on alert though. If I had to do the shit, you got to do the shit. We're on the honor system out this motherfucker.
And we're produced and co-hosted today by the lovely and talented Jackson.
What's up?
All right, what's up, fellas? So I mean, this is the cadence of the show. Something crazy happens, then the next episode is going to be people reacting to that crazy thing and setting up the next crazy thing. We kind of knew this was going to be a bit of a quieter episode, but we did have Aegon the Crispy, first of his name, delivered like a fucking DoorDash hot chicken order.
Had to unwrap that motherfucker. Like, his armor was like some foil on him. He's like a calzone out there, motherfucker. This shit was nasty, dog. Goddamn. And Aemon did that shit to him, dog. Aemon, Dracarys, that shit, acting like, he was going after, Rhaenys, not giving a fuck if he got Aegon too. Like, worst brother ever, dog.
Yeah, I we're not going to joke too much yet, maybe about the events of in our country of the last little bit, but I would say Aemon took a shot and hit the target, I mean.
Big time players make big time plays, man. It's a game of inches, dog.
He turned his brother into a creme brulee, brother.
Between falling short and winning a championship, it's one of those margins, man. God damn.
And similarly with the Secret Service standing on guard, just looking like, oh shit, this is crazy.
I suppose it helps when your weapon of choice has a massively wide range as opposed to the other events, but man, bullseye.
Yep. Yeah, he was nasty as fuck. Char was like, we watched it in the hotel last night. Here's the shit that being a parent forces you to resort to. We watched it sitting next to each other in bed on our own laptops with our own headphones in, because the kids were asleep in the bed next to us. So we're doing the okay, I'm trying to double pause
right.
To get it
to sync it up perfectly. A classic move, a classic situation. Our chat just, as always, just immediately hopping in with all the exact their versions of the Aegon jokes. We got Spooky said, "LOL, they forgot the Pam spray."
That's important.
Dre said fajita type beat. Muva said Young King got creme brulee. Jay Livin said Aegon McMuffin. The chat, as always, salute.
Love the chat, man.
That's what Char leaned over and tapped me on the shoulder. I pulled my headphone up and she said, "He looks like a McRib."
Yeah.
That is true though. Like if you're going into Dragon War, you do need to pam yourself up pretty good before you put that hot ass metal armor on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget. I saw a tweet. I want to say it was Kev on stage or someone else who was like, they probably should have like soaked him in hot water or something for an hour before they tried to pull that off.
Yeah.
Like, why just go straight for the armor rip?
I think a funny thing about like there's just like some sort of running jokes that aren't acknowledged in the show. And one of the things that's funny to me is how like consistently horrible the Maester's medical science is.
Dog, when they pop that leg
just
back
like-
and plays, oh my God. Come on, man. What are we doing? Like, I don't know if we needed to see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. But they like throughout the show, it's like, oh, that looks infected. Let me stab it. You know what I mean? It's just like
Right.
it's not the medical care you would seek out. But yeah, they were like, and I listen, we actually did have a situation in my family where my brother got burns and had to go to the hospital. You don't pull stuff off. That is not like, because yeah, it just was ripping his skin off instead of taking the armor off, bro. It was nasty
Like a
shit.
motherfucking blooming onion. I was like,
Yo.
that shit was disgusting. Yeah, man. But I will say something that I was surprised on that's a twist from the book is Sunfire died. And Sunfire did not die in the book, his dragon. So that's going to open up a lot of shit. I'm not going to spoil things, but Sunfire did play like some big parts of shit that they probably will still incorporate. But now we got a king without a dragon. You know for sure he's going to get another one. You can't be dragonless, bro. You like, so he's for sure going to get another one. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah. Yes, that's a good point. In the books, and I don't think this is a spoiler because I won't say anything that happened, but in the books, yes, Sunfire is just sort of like wounded and grounded and just kind of like prowling around,
eating dead
Rook's
soldiers. He was like
Rest.
living off of the carcasses on the battlefield because he wasn't that mobile. And then they started like feeding him sheep and shit. But yeah, man.
Yeah.
They robbed us of
so
the
that was
Sunfire redemption arc. We wanted to see him eat some carcasses, bro. Playing Rocky Eye of the Tiger while he's eating a dead soldier. You know, they robbed us of that.
That's his montage. That's it. That's it.
Training
That's his training montage.
Yeah.
Well, we did get an interesting, I think one thing is that the Greens we've talked about have been very good with their PR campaign. When they had Otto Hightower as their head of comms, they no longer have Otto Hightower. And so they tried to win the PR campaign on this, the PR campaign of the king getting fried up by parading a dragon head through the streets of King Landing. I think thinking that it was going to inspire awe in people. That's like, we killed this dragon. And instead it really is like, if you live in a war-torn country and they're parading a nuclear missile head through the streets, everyone's just looking at the dragon head like, holy shit. Like, you want us to stay here while y'all are doing war with that over our head? Like,
yeah, it's
I don't
like,
know.
how we've always talked about how, dragons represent like weapons of mass destruction, like nukes and this shit. And that's the whole thing with nuclear war. There's always going to be escalation, right? You bomb them, they bomb you back. So, bro, like, what good does it do showing a dragon's head when there's more dragons out there? And now they're mad. The dragon riders are mad that you killed their dragon and their dragon rider, right? Like, that shit's gonna, that's not gonna inspire awe and pride. That's going to inspire fear. And another thing is, like, they've been blockaded off because Corlys has, blockaded all food from coming in. So they are like scrambling, they're starving. And you're showing that dragons can die. So motherfuckers are looking like, yo, we might need to see what Vagar neck hitting on if it's that easy to sever motherfuckers' head. Like, that's the only thing that's keeping y'all in power. And you're showing us that they can be killed. Like, it was just a dumb move all around.
You said it, because there is they're looking at the dragon at the end of that scene, and someone goes, I thought they were gods, so they're just meat.
Yeah.
And then 30 minutes later, the town people are banging to try and get out of the gate, screaming, we want meat. Like, fucking feed us.
Y'all should have goddamn do that dragon head on the grill. Y'all should have char grilled up some dragon head. Them motherfuckers are starving, bro. Like, just, you ain't even got to tell them it's dragon. It's Mystery Meat Monday out this motherfucker. But there are better ways you could have handled that, dog.
I feel like that requires like
I mean,
a
we've
48-hour braids or something. That stuff is like all muscly. That is a hot muscle.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna give Tyler a side quest for this episode. Let's end the episode with Tyler's dragon recipe. So you got like another half hour to think about it, Tyler. But yeah, we need your grilling tips for dragon.
Tyler just looked down for like 3 seconds and was like, "I got it."
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that we rarely eat predators, and dragons are just strictly predators. So I don't know how good they would taste, but they do eat delicious shit like cows and sheep, right? Like they're not like scavengers or something, so they might taste good. But they like Jackson said, they're probably muscly as fuck, straight muscles, real fucking, a tough cut. You probably got to slow smoke that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I think that's probably the only way you can go about making a dragon edible. But yeah.
Do you think it tastes more like a lizard or like a bird or like seafood? Like what does a dragon taste
That's the whole
like?
thing. I'm thinking gator, but gator is like so seafood heavy. Would probably be the closest thing, but would probably taste like an iguana if we ever eat those motherfuckers. Do people eat iguanas? They're in Florida. They're in Florida, so I'm sure that there's a Floridian or two that is eating a motherfucking iguana.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, we'll get into that at the end. That's great. Yeah, and then you have Kristen Cole, who I think in his conversation with Allison Beleza, he actually does have an internal monologue of some kind, but he just like, don't they realize we won the battle? He's saying about all of the townspeople, and it's like they fried the king, like. So like you said, Tyler, like they're looking at the dragon thinking about themselves. It's like this thing, yeah, you cut its head off, but not before like the king is fried. So
I feel like it's major like husband who messed up, like trying to explain it to his wife vibes, where he's like, no, but like I did bring in the trash.
Yeah.
And the wife's like, yeah, but you fucking knocked over every other thing in the house. What do you mean you brought in the trash?
no, it's worse. It's the I told you I was going out with my friends. I'm not allowed to go out with my friends.
Right.
It's like that. It's just like you got back at 3:00 in the morning. You said you were going to like, go hang out for a half hour. It's like that. I feel like it's that kind of thing. Like, well, technically, I told you I was going to go hang out with my friends. Like, he sucks.
He's the worst. That motherfucker died.
I want to talk about have y'all noticed, Tyler? Did you notice that they've updated the tapestry scenes in the intro?
Yeah.
The one of the little baby with
the
circle going through
and the red yarn around it. Yeah. Little details like that, man.
Sucks. Yeah, for sure. All right, let's talk about Damon absolutely losing his mind. He's in The Shining. He's at the Overlook Castle. Absolutely losing his mind at Harrenhal.
This Luigi's Mansion ass side quest that he on right now, dog. This shit is crazy. Why do you keep sleeping in that werewood bed, bro? Like, do you not know, motherfucker? That is a nightmare mattress. Like, why do you keep doing this shit to yourself?
That's the opposite. That's the opposite of a Tempur-Pedic, bro. Like
nightmare Pedic out this motherfucker.
You just like you sit down on it in the store to test it out, and it just screams. It just starts wailing. Like
you get transported back to the most traumatic moment of your life when you were 11 years old.
I don't know, man. It's tough to govern and put a coalition together when you keep looking over and seeing like the most insane people. You know what I mean? Like the worst memories, like you said, of your life. Like, oh, I don't know. It doesn't look like it's going well for David. That's how I would put it. It looks like we're headed for a bad time for David.
Yeah. And Rhaenyra's getting a little skeptical. She's like, this motherfucker been gone too long. Like, I know you was out there trying to rally the troops. I'm thinking, yo, shady ass might be trying to rally them on your side to build your army now. What's going on with that? So, we'll see. But I do think that Dame's a solid dude. I think there's a part of him that for sure thinks he should and would be a good king, but I don't think that he's gonna move on that.
Yeah. We'll see. But he needs to, like you said, he needs to at some point be like, maybe I'll just sleep in a tent.
Right.
Like maybe I'll
take your ass to the couch, dog.
Maybe I'll just walk out there a little bit and take a nap. Maybe I will get on my literal dragon and fly to anywhere I feel like to just sleep somewhere that isn't haunted, We had the small council scene where they picked Aemon and Alicent realizes that she is no longer in any type of control over what is happening in the castle, in Westeros, in the world. Obviously, I think they've used the phrase you know what he is like 3 times to describe him, so I don't think it's a spoiler to say it's not great to have a lunatic like in charge of everything. But what did you think of that scene and kind of that moment when Alicent like is just sort of staring off into space, like, oh fuck, like I missed the dumb one, you know?
Like, I mean, Aemon is someone who wanted to always be king, right? Like, you remember season 1 when he had to go get Aegon out of the whorehouses, and Aegon's like, I didn't want it. Why don't you be king? And Aemon's like, I really do want that shit, but that ain't how it goes, right? And we saw in this episode when they were doing the bloom and onion peel back off this motherfucker. The first thing he has is, okay, who's going to be king? While he's recovering. Like, that's the first thing he has. He doesn't give a shit about his brother. But for Alicent, it's just it was just a moment that just reminded her, and I guess the audience, like, if we needed this reminder, just how powerless women are in this world, because we're fighting this whole war is about them not wanting to put a woman on the throne, right? So Alicent can't step to the throne in this moment, because then it's like, okay, well, if any woman can be in the throne, then why isn't the eldest woman and not the eldest son on the throne? So yeah, it was just a moment where you saw, I mean, because there were a lot of parallels. Like, you saw, I feel like they intentionally showed how Aegon on his recovery bed looked like Viserys in his last days, with the whole half burned two-faced shit going on. So yeah, it was just like a full circle moment where she was just reminded again how powerless women are in that world.
Yeah, Aegon definitely looked like he was about to reveal that Batman is Bruce Wayne, like 100%.
And they also did a two-face thing with Aemond later in that shot where they were just slowly panning up to his face, and like one half of his face was like lit up completely, the other half, but the eye patch was completely dark. They're really leaning into that imagery.
The duality.
That's some old school filmmaking with shadows. I love it. Yeah, you said it, like, and I think there is some not to get too political about our world. Again, I do think there's some parallels to our world of, like, if you ascend to power by harnessing dark forces, you don't get to stay in control. That's why they're dark forces. They're not to be controlled. Every analogy in all of literature and movies, it's the dark side in Star Wars. It's something human beings have both known and also continue to ignore for like millennia. But yeah, she really convinced herself in her head that this was all happening because her husband, she misinterpreted, she thought she was correctly interpreting something he said, but it's like, no, this is happening because they don't want a woman to rule. That's why. And so, like, that's it. And you may have lied to yourself about, no, we have the just cause, all this other shit, but she's realizing how many of the things that she believed were lies, how many of the lies she told herself were just justifications. And I think that was definitely the moment when it really all came crashing down of, oh, they don't care about peace. They don't care about the correct ruler. They care about, it has to be a man, and it has to be the most powerful man, and that's it. And so all of that, I mean, she's kind of, it almost feels like a little bit in the role of Ned Stark in the first season of Game of Thrones. All that high language and none of that shit means anything when you have a monster that's gonna ascend. And so I think, like, she then has that conversation with Kristen Cole where she's like, are you only loyal to me at night? And he's like, this has nothing to do with anything other than I've seen the dragons fighting now. And like, we need the craziest, evilest motherfucker alive to keep us from being roasted. That's it. Like, he knows he's not better than Rhaenys. He knows he's not a better person or anything than Rhaenys. He just watched her get fucking chopped out of the sky. So I almost understood where Kristen Cole was coming from for the first time in that conversation. But yeah, I don't know. It's tough times for Alicent, bro. This is what you wanted.
Yeah, like just to be the matriarch of that family and just be powerless, it's wild.
I liked how with the conversation with Sir Kristen Cole, she was basically just like calling him like a millennial fuckboy. She's like, you really only text me back when it passes midnight? Like, what the hell's that about? And I also liked in the small council scene,
She gave him a Drake.
She gave him a
Drake
right,
song,
right.
sure.
She's like, for real? He's like, I don't like, yeah, that's you know who this was. I liked in the small council scene how when they like find like, all right, Eamon, like you can do it, and the way that he like gets up from his one side of the table and walks around the other, you could feel it. Like he's like, don't run, don't skip, walk slowly. Do not pump your fist. Just walk over there. Walk and
cool, Eamon.
Sit,
cool, Eamon.
sit
cool,
in
Eamon.
seat. Like, and it was like the excitement was like falling off of him.
Yeah, he was excited as hell.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah, keep it under the eye patch. Keep it under the eye patch. Keep it under the eye patch. Keep it under the eye patch.
Because when he rolled up on Aegon after him and Sunfire got knocked out of the sky, like he was like, I might have to finish the job on this motherfucker until Sir Christian Cole was like, hey, and he was like, okay, all right, oh no, the king, let's get him to safety. But yeah, Aemon really wanted this shit, man.
He did, and congrats to him, I guess, on getting it. I mean, I don't know. I don't have to live in that world.
Yeah, I mean,
so.
I don't personally like Aemon, but I think he's a great character. Yeah,
for sure.
So anything that gives him more power in the plot, I think is going to be good for business here.
I also think John said something on the episode where you were out of town, Tyler. Like we were just comparing the two shows, and he said something about how we just can't have the same connection to the sort of victims of the monstrosities in this show just because we haven't been with them as long. And so I think that's part of it too. Like I'm for sure rooting for both Aemon and Daemon, because it's just like I just want to see the craziest stuff possible. I'm not really that worried about any of these characters. Like no one is. I mean, I really liked Rhaenys, but that's it. So at this point you are kind of like, yeah, let's get the crazy people in charge so shit can really get nuts. It does kind of feel like that. I don't feel that like, oh no, Joffrey's gonna do something horrible to Sansa or someone that you like actually have some connection.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. Like I'm not really, I don't know, I'm not all the way invested. And not saying like I don't love the show, but I'm not emotionally invested in characters like I was in Game of Thrones here. Maybe because of course whole different plot lines, but I am, like I said, I do love the first two seasons of this. I think that is great television, but I'm not invested in the way I was invested in like Jon Snow. Like Jon Snow is like one of my favorite TV characters ever, so yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's what John said. And you remember when Jon Snow died, it was like our John was out. He was like, fuck you. Like
that was so wild that we were all in disbelief. Like, ain't no way in hell they killing John off. He'll be back. We know that. You know what I'm saying? Like we were like, y'all have fucked us up before. Y'all killed Robb Stark and Ned Stark. I know y'all ain't crazy enough to kill Jon Snow. So that was like the vibes. We were like, okay, use your magic or whatever the fuck to bring this motherfucker back.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I think the other thing too with this show is I wonder to what extent, because definitely reading the books, I felt this, but I wonder to what extent it being a history changes the way subconsciously maybe we emotionally react to it. That even though they're both fictional stories, obviously, Game of Thrones, you're like, well, this is really happening right now. And I don't know the next thing that's going to happen because the books end. Whereas with Fire and Blood, or with, House of Dragon, Fire and Blood, the book has been written, and if you're invested in the like structure of the world, it's like, well, this was 200 years ago. So maybe that's like part of it too, because the book is written as a history, which obviously the show is more or less shot the way Game of Thrones is, but it is still, I feel like you still have that feeling of like, oh, this is this guy's great grandpa, not someone who's like currently living and breathing.
And something unique about the books, which I don't know how they could even translate this on TV, is that there were multiple story accounts where they would tell different, they would, of course, the overarching theme of events that happened would be the same, but there would be minor details that each story would say.
Oh, that's cool.
And then
it'd be like in this story they say this, and in this story they say this, and then and one of the things that was so funny about that, I don't think this is a spoiler for anyone, but one of the accounts is from a court jester who's like has all the gossip, and that was like once he got out of the castle, he was just writing like, and then this dude fucked this dude, but he was fucking her and she was fucking so it like he's got like the most gossipy account like kind of every event, but frequently they end up clearly being the thing that is true that just would not have been put down in the historical archives
like
or whatever.
Spoiler free thing, when Aemon killed Luke, when you know Vagar went off the rails. Some historians say that he intentionally did it. Some historians say that he did it by accident. Some historians said that he like swooped down on the carcass and like spat on it and all that. Like it's wild. So
yeah. Well, and this gets into some bigger like Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones stuff, but I don't think it's a spoiler to say that the Maesters are their own entity and they have their own political agenda and they have their like they're not pro magic, they're not pro dragons. And so that's kind of part of the thing is like this is the Fire and Blood book that this is based on is the official Maesters history of the Targaryen family. And so I think you can also look at it just from that widest perspective and go, I don't think it's there's no question that they would want the dragons to look as bad as possible because that's sort of like part of the world that they stand in opposition to, you know what I mean? So lots of big stuff there. And yeah, yes, there was no way for them to do the conflicting accounts. I think they've left some things ambiguous in the show intentionally to replicate that, Tyler, to your point, but you can't do the like they're not doing the frame story, I guess. They're not doing the like this is a guy sitting down and writing this story, which would have felt very like 1980s, you know, like
I was about to say
Princess
it sounds like
Bride
the
or
Princess
something.
Bride.
I feel like
Yeah.
if they did that. Yeah. We had Jace going to the phrase. And I have to admit, when we talk about the power of the Red Wedding, did that not send a little chill down your spine to just see him
Yeah,
across the
like-
table? Like,
I was like, I hate y'all motherfuckers because of what your great grandson is gonna do in 200 years. You know, like fuck the phrase, man.
right?
Yeah, but that
was-
shows how the phrase and the Starks to an extent how they were all kind of under the same umbrella of like unity and allegiance to each other there. So you know that's kind of, you know, a nice little Easter egg for those of us who were tapped into the original Game of Thrones. But like I said, fuck the phrase, man, forever.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. And God bless the Starks forever. Yeah, Cregan Stark like that. I mean, he's only been in the show for 45 seconds, but he's still like the most honorable guy on the show. Okay. We also had Bela talking to her grandpa while he's grieving her grandma and basically telling him to to man the fuck up.
Like, we can't top this shit. She's like, Granny gone, bro. Like we it's dragons out here right now that are free agents that we need to map out. Right? Yeah, like yeah, she was not trying to hear that shit at all. She's like, we need to lock in some of these free agent dragons, big dog.
Rob Pelinka, get off your hands, Rob Pelinka. I also think it's like to give a little more context to that conversation. Like Corlys is the most. He's like Odysseus. He's like the most accomplished non-Targaryen in Westeros. They've referenced like slightly a couple times these big journeys he had where he brought back so many riches and rarities from parts of the world that no one from Westeros had ever traveled to, that it made his house rich like through generations, right? And so he obviously thinks of himself correctly as a brave, bold, like fearless adventurer. And here's his granddaughter stepping to him and saying, the Targaryen shit is different, bro. I want to die on a dragon. I want to, and your wife did too. She wanted to fall out of the sky from a real dragon fight for some shit she believed in. And that's why she volunteered. And I'm volunteering for the same shit. So you better get on board. And I was super impressed with her in that scene, just being willing to like put it in such black and white terms of how different that Targaryen shit really is.
Yeah, it's for sure different. And they're laying the seeds to what they call the sowing of seeds, when all these dragon seeds who are I hate using that word bastards, but illegitimate children with Valyrian blood in them.
Right. That's the conversation they're having at the end.
Like we've got a lot of people with Valyrian blood who can be dragon seeds. Dragon seeds are because the dragons don't fuck with anyone who doesn't have Valyrian blood, right? Like they can sense that shit. So you know, that's what they're setting up for when, like I said, they're gonna get out here and get at some of these free agent dragons, bro.
Yeah, I didn't really understand why earlier in the season they were introducing those bastard characters. I was like, who are these people? I don't really like understand the purpose of them, but
I don't think they I've liked this season a lot, but I don't think they did a very good job.
Yeah, I was kind of like, what's their deal? But now I feel like it's sort of obvious that they're gonna like play some role in the Dragon free agency market.
I just think like they're trying. I would say actually they're trying more than Game of Thrones did to tell the big story about the kings and queens and the war and also the ground level story. But I think it's almost been too jarring the way that they've gone from like the highest stakes, conversations to this guy and his wife and daughter are really struggling. Like it, and I've sort of known, like Tyler referenced, what that's gonna, how that's gonna end up tying in. But I think they kind of like left it out there a little bit too long without like keying in on. No. We actually still don't really give a fuck about the small folk. Like it's just this, like these people would just end up being significant, in the bigger picture or whatever. But yeah, you mentioned, that conversation. Again, I don't think it's a spoiler just to name it, but what they're talking about at the end is dragon seeds. These people that it's like they're half Targaryen, they're a quarter Targaryen, and you don't really know whether someone's a half Targaryen or a full Targaryen. You don't know if a dragon's going to accept someone because, as they reference in this show, you've had full-blooded Targaryens who were not accepted by dragons. So you just like the truth of it is, and that's part of the sort of secret knowledge the Targaryens harbor is no one really knows what these I mean, they have a connection with the dragons. They could ride them, but they don't really know what the dragons are doing either. And that's part of why Rhaenys had that respect is like, once we let this shit go, we don't have any control over it anymore because they are much closer to gods than we are or any people are. Obviously.
Yes. Yeah. Like you said, you have to have that blood in you to be a dragon seed, but it doesn't guarantee it. Like the dragons pick you, but that is a prerequisite. But like if a dragon rejects you, dog, like they ain't gonna send you a rejection letter. It's a rapparoosty for you. You they gonna flambe your ass. So it's a very risky proposition, man.
The dragon is not sending a thank you so much for coming down email. Like
you're not getting a thank you for your time email after the interview, bro. One of those dreaded fucking emails.
Yeah, good. Yeah. But I think we had the Castellan of Rook's Rest, like we talked about on the last episode, who was like, they were trying to get him inside for his safety, and he was standing out there like, no, I want to watch the dragon. If I die here, that's cool, but I want to watch two dragons fighting. That's the sickest shit ever. I feel like it's got to be the same thing in Westeros. We've seen what these people are eating. We've seen how they're living, bro. You're telling me either I get killed and I don't have to live here anymore, or I get to ride a dragon. Like, sign me the.
That's exactly what
up.
Daemon said, right? He was like, either I'm king now or I'm gonna die, and it's not my problem anymore.
And I don't have to deal with this shit anymore. There's some clarity to that. I don't know, like that makes sense to me. Like, especially like the scenes where they're eating and they're showing like what's going in the fucking bowls for these people. You're like, come on, bro. Like, oh, I don't know. Yeah, give me the coin flip of like you get to ride a dragon or you don't have to eat this shit anymore,
Either ride a dragon or like live off of rats through the rest of your life, bro. Like, I'll take my chances.
God, speaking of rats, dude, that was the other thing I liked about the Aemon scenes where he was just like, and cut down the fucking rat catchers. My brother is a fucking moron, okay? We all know it, and now I'm gonna say it out loud, okay?
Yeah, his brains might be leaking out his nose in the other fucking room over there.
We are gonna wipe off any evidence that he was king because all of his decisions have been bad.
Yeah. Yes. And that was, and I loved I actually have some sympathy for Alicent despite all the horrifically stupid shit she does, because I have stupid people in my life that I love. But her, like, when they're cutting the rat catchers down and she's like, "Ugh, yeah, these rotten corpses my son made are so stinky." It's just like, you are such a fucking dummy. Like, just like that Hightower shit is deep, bro. Like, there's just still this like, I'm too fancy to be smelling these dead bodies. It's like, come on, Alice. I don't know. All right. Anything from the chat before I ask Tyler about his dragon recipe, Jackson?
One thing from Rishi that I sort of agree with, to the point about the scenes with like the bastards conversing, is that the show moves so fast, pacing wise, that we never expect a random townsfolk scene to just be sort of like coloring in and filling in the details of the universe. It's always like it is doing that, but there's going to be plot connected to that as well. Like even the scene, that first scene a few episodes back with the Brackens and the whoever's like arguing, it's like beautiful. It does color in like the way that this universe works, but also like we know that that's going to be relevant in the next episode.
Yeah. And I could, I won't, but I could point to a couple other things that might seem random.
Right. I'm sure there are.
They're doing everything. Yes. Everything's in there for a reason. All right. I feel like this has just been a 35-minute buildup to Tyler. How would you give us the prep? How would you grill? First of all, what's the best cut off the dragon, and how would you prepare it?
What would be the most tender part, the most unutilized part of the dragon? Maybe the tail. Maybe that's probably what you would want to go with. Like some oxtail shit. But I still think, like I said, I think those motherfuckers are all muscle. They're strong as fuck. So I would probably go about it like the same way I go about brisket, because brisket is the chest plate of the cow, which is the front leg muscle chest shit, which gets worked the most out of any muscle in a cow's life, right? Which is why that shit is so tough. Yeah. You got to slow smoke that motherfucker for about 6 to 8 hours with it. I'll probably go about it like how I do brisket. And for brisket, it's pretty simple, right? It's kosher salt, like the chunky salt, chunky coarse ground pepper, some onion powder, a little garlic powder as well, a little sprinkle of garlic salt, little a little crushed paprika too on that, and just slow smoke that motherfucker. But basically, you ask me to cook anything, I'm gonna always lean on slow smoke for the most part.
Yeah, true. Maybe like 6 or 7 days for the dragon.
It ain't gonna be no 6-hour smoke for that big motherfucker. Like it's gonna be like weeks, bro. You got to lock in, man. A 40-hour shift on that motherfucker.
All right, you'll need a staff on that shit for sure. That's got it. You got to have a rotation there. All right, that is our recap of the 5th episode. We will be back next Sunday's show to recap that as well. And our recording schedule the rest of the week, we don't have the full schedule locked in, but we will be live again Tuesday at the same time. So if you're listening to this on the pod, youtube.com/@JenkinsJones, you can come hang out with us live. And we do think we're getting John we got a lot to catch up on in the world of sports and everything else over the last week since we've seen John. So that'll be a fun one Tuesday morning. Make sure you're tapped in for that for sure. Other than that, I mean, to be honest with you, it's all the other crazy shit. I'm most excited to talk about the baseball player we discovered whose name's Sloppy Thurston. That's the thing I'm most excited about. I just like Big Sloppington. Like
the immaculate.
All right. That's all the time we got. We'll be back Tuesday morning. We'll see y'all then.
Bye.
Bye.